Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jordan,
I'm Tom Hoblin.
and we got our good friend Patrick Cotto from the Cotto's Mojo podcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Ian. Thanks for having me on. It's been a long time since I've been on the spectacle.
Yeah, probably since Chase Elliott was like a championship contender. So yeah,
Not this year. Not this year. God knows if he'll only make the playoffs.
yeah. Well, you got two races, but we'll be talking more about that in the
Oh,
show.
I know.
But Patrick, you know how we start off our show every week. We start off with our diecast of the week. What'd you bring for us today?
All right, boys. Well, since we're coming off of Indy, the good old Brickyard, I want to throw it back a little bit to Jeff Gordon, who won the inaugural Brickyard in 1994. One of 5 wins for Gordon at that track.
Awesome,
nice.
dude. Yeah, that's a
This obviously
classic
isn't the
paint
diecast
scheme.
that he raced, but this is actually what you gave me for my birthday a couple years ago. So nice present.
Hell yeah, dude. Oh, that's my favorite Gordon paint scheme of all time. Just got
Beautiful
over the
scheme.
flames. Oh yeah. All right, Mr. Tom, what you got for us this week?
Okay, I'm gonna think back to old Watkins Glen. This car's a little bit older, but you can't think of Watkins Glen until you go back to that Ambrose, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch race.
Oh yeah.
So I'm pulling out the Gen 5 Kyle Busch M&M scheme with the diamond on the grill. Like it just makes me think
Oh,
about
dude.
Watkins Glen and just
COT days at the Glen.
yeah, good racing. Good
Oh, hell
racing.
yeah. I got that same diecast too. I think that's like my only Kyle Busch diecast I own.
I love the classic yellow M&M scheme. It's iconic.
Nothing beats it, man. All right, boys. So for my diecast of the week, we just got done with Indy, and there is talk that they are going to be going back to the Oval at the Brickyard start next year. So I had to bust out Kevin Harvick's 2020 Brickyard 400 win, the last time that we saw cars on the Oval at the historic Brickyard track. So beautiful paint scheme. I love the
Yeah.
patriotic fireworks on there. I think it's one of Kevin's best paint schemes he's ran. I hope we go back to there to the Oval because the road course is cool. I feel like it's
hmm
kind of worn off a little bit, but I just want to see these next gen cars on the Indy Oval because it's just got to be insane.
I understand why they made the move to the road course. The oval wasn't selling. The racing wasn't very good, but knowing how these cars race on ovals, I'm just so curious to see it.
Yeah. It so hopefully from if we hear anything from the tire test, hopefully it's positive. All right, and we also want to say a congratulations to Annette on Twitter for winning our Alex Bowman diecast. Thank you for subscribing and following us along, and we will get that diecast out to you shortly. So thank you. All right, and yeah, they got the tire test going on at Indy, or they had it going on at Indy, so hopefully we'll hear something from there. And also, NASCAR is going to be putting out ads during Alabama and University of South Carolina games this fall. I'm going to be guessing Alabama, they're going to be advertising Talladega. Gotta be huge race down there. And South Carolina, obviously Darlington for the playoff race. So pretty cool that they're trying to reach out to more fans. We've seen that this year with the addition of the street course. And now we're trying to get more diversity, football fans watching NASCAR. So pretty cool addition.
Well,
You got to
especially when it comes to, the football fans in the South in general. They love their football. And of course, those fans down South too love their NASCAR. So for those who aren't quite into it, I think that's, a good step forward to gaining more fans.
you got to spend money to make money, and you're not going to make any money if you're not putting your product out in front of where the people are watching. So spending ad money on college football, I say, is a very solid choice to get those Southern fans to either come to the races or tune into the races.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, college football is one of the most watched sports in America right now, especially with those damn Alabama fans. I mean, they're freaking everywhere. So, yeah, a lot of people are going to be seeing what's going on for the NASCAR playoffs. But let's talk Indy from this past weekend, boys. We had trucks at IRP and Xfinity and Cup at the Indy Road Course. For IRP, Christian Eckes won the pole, and early trouble for Haley Deegan after her and the 04 of Landon Lewis. They spun. Looks like Haley just kind of took it way too hard into the turns, and they both got loose. And then came Greg Van Alst and just took the door off of that 13. So, man, I think Haley Deegan just wants to forget about her Truck Series career and just go full-time SRX at this point.
Go full-time SRX or go to the Xfinity Series. Those cars race a lot different. She's had 1 or 2 starts and she's looked good in there. I don't think the trucks fit her driving style. I know this is going to sound crazy. I'm not ready to write her off yet, but again, it's just, she's got a race where she's comfortable. And if you can't get comfortable in one of those trucks and then you keep getting run over by everybody, the results aren't going to show. And sure, you can have all the money in the world, but these crews aren't going to want to build race trucks week in, week out for you. So I'd say put her up the Xfinity Series and then we'll talk.
Yeah, but at this, I mean, she can bring in sponsorships. I just wonder who is going to take that leap. If Stuart Haas does end up getting rid of Riley Herbst, I think that 98 is going to be nice and warm for her. And hopefully we won't see it doing the same thing that we've seen it been doing the past couple of years.
Well, if she goes to that truck, it's going to be a whole lot different than when Herbst took over for Briscoe. The expectations are not going to be very high.
Right.
So who knows?
He's had some shit luck with the trucks. God knows what happens if she even, tries that Xfinity.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good idea with the Stuart Haas because, obviously she's been racing SRX and it's supposed to be superstars. And I think that's just because she's got a good relationship with Tony Stewart more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider her a superstar. For a lot of those names in the SRX, you could stop a random person on the street and be like, hey, have you ever heard of Tony Kanaan? They'd be like, yeah, he's a race car driver. But if I stopped somebody on the street and said, like, do you know who this Haley Deegan person is? They'd be like, no clue. So I wouldn't consider her a superstar, but if she's got a good relationship with Ford, good relationship with Tony Stewart, I'd say that's a winning combination. Not victory, but a winning combination for business deals.
Yeah, she's got to take advantage of what's in front of her right now. So, yeah, we'll see what happens for her future. We got no idea yet, so we shall see for her. But Ty Majeski, this guy has been on a freaking roll here. He won the first 2 stages. That's his second race in a row where he swept the first 2 stages. So we've been talking playoff points are very important, and he's collected 4 in the past 2 weeks. So this guy is ready for a big push into the playoffs.
I think with this race and then where they're going next week, it's a similar track to the last 2 weeks. I think you see more of the same with this guy. He and his team seem to really have it hooked up on these short, flat ovals. And that's scary because, again, the first round of the playoffs, you can see some people take big leaps and see some people take some big drops. And so starting off this playoff with a bang, he wants to show he wants to be there for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, this guy just kicks ass on these flat ovals, and look where the championship is going to be at. So I'd be pretty scared if I was the rest of the Truck Series drivers. Ty Majeski is just getting warmed up. All right, and then Dean Thompson, he has been having some trouble the past couple weeks. Tried to clear himself over Grant Enfinger, spun, and then Spencer Boyd just came out of nowhere and just flattened his back end. Ruined both of their races. It just sucks to see for both of these guys that are grinding every week to try and make some money and get some points.
Yeah, Dean Thompson, his name always comes up. He seems like he's in and out of the top 10 all the time. And you're kind of waiting for his moment to shine. He and a guy like Nick Sanchez, you're like, they're right there every time, but they got to clean up the mistakes a little bit. But that's the epitome of the Craftsman Truck Series at a short track is people are going to get in bad spots, and then other racecraft around them doesn't quite fit, and everybody's going to get run over.
Yeah, always turns out to be a crapshoot. Well, that's the Truck Series in general for you. All right, and then more trouble for Haley Deegan. Landon Lewis got back to her and spun her out. So might have a little bit of a rivalry going on here at the start of the playoffs. Something I like to see.
Who's Landon Lewis? Like I say that Haley Deegan's done never recognize the name, but like, yeah, there's going to be some fun drama to follow, but like, I don't know who that guy is, to be quite honest.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where Haley Deegan likes to run, is with guys like Landon Lewis.
Man.
So we might be hearing his name a lot more if she's running by him.
Well, if they causing cautions, then we'll learn his name real quick, but it's not
Yeah,
going to be for
right?
good reasons. So
Oh boy. All right. Ty Majeski just flat out dominated this one and won it. First
told you.
race. Yep.
I
First race
told you
of
it
the
would happen
playoffs.
after Richmond. I told you it would happen.
Oh, I was ready for it
Mhm.
to happen. I knew that this guy was dangerous, especially this time of year at these tracks. Oh, I was all prepared. I'm just ready for this guy to just be a dominant force throughout the playoffs.
If he can survive those middle rounds of the playoffs again, I think Phoenix is going to fall right back into that. Notice he didn't burn that truck down
Yeah,
at the end of
right.
this race. That tells you they've got something special going. They want to keep that thing in perfect running condition. They'll take it back to the shop, clean it up, run it at Milwaukee, take it back to the shop, clean it up, tie up all the loose ends for Phoenix. Like, that truck's ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. So good for Ty Majeski. Pretty damn cool. And we'll see how he fares out at the Milwaukee Mile here in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Kristen Neckes, Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, all up in that top 5. Those guys, again, just solid races. They didn't have anything for the 98, but they did well on their own. And that's, again, you got to survive the first round if you want to be in the playoffs at the end. And it sounds simple to say, but if you can't be at the end if you don't push through the beginning. So all these guys being up there is a good sign. But I mean, you also got people like Lane Riggs, William Sawalich, guys you don't really see towards the front too much. I mean, Lane Riggs isn't even running many races at all. He's just looking for a spot in the series. I'm also excited to see Raja Karuth finish a race strong. It just seems like he's had some fast trucks, but they can't hang on for the long run. Just they'll have mechanical issues or he'll get up into the wall, and to see him finish a race and run so well. I mean, I watched their qualifying. He was fast and he stayed up there all night, finished 7th. Good for him.
Just shit luck for Raja. And yeah, the dude's got the speed. We've seen it. So hopefully that 24 team will figure things out and hopefully give him a playoff truck for next year if he does come back. All right, guys. So let's talk Indy road course. We start off with the Xfinity Series. Of course, AJ Allmendinger led the field to green, and we were put on a 30-minute lightning hold early in this race. They came back. Track was wet, and Sam Mayer took the lead. He's racing with confidence after that Road America win. I think that's just what this kid needed. We knew that he had lots of talent, and just one win, and he's ready to go and look out.
Yeah, the lightning delay was really unfortunate because, I mean, we say this all the time, but especially with the road course, it would have been so fun to watch them. I mean, I know NASCAR would have probably thrown the yellow regardless for the rain to let everybody switch.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't agree with. I think if it's going to start raining on a road course, let the teams decide.
Right.
But then they obviously, for the safety of everybody at the track, you got to call the lightning delay. And then they declared it a wet track, made everybody start on the wet tires. It was just, it took away something from the race, but still to see the guys who had the audacity to switch right back to the slicks, because that track cleared up really fast. It was fun to watch. It was kind of like a little bit of homage to the Chicago street race again, where you got to see these guys deal with the drying conditions. And it's fun to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had some parts of the track that were basically completely dry, and then on the front stretch there, it was still damp and wet. So pretty cool to see that transition, how these drivers were able to control their cars over all that. But that's what makes for fun road course racing. All right, and Cole Custer, we've been talking about him. He's been a road course ace this year. He went around after contact with Justin Allgaier. Not what Cole Custer wants to see. And then we had Daniel Hemrick spinning. Man, I wish Nick was here. He would have loved this.
That's probably why he chose to skip.
Probably. If
couldn't
that was the
handle.
case, he wouldn't come on any show.
Oh man, Nick, we love you.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, Hemrick spun right in front of the John Hunter Nemechek and hurt the nose of that 20 car. We know that 20 car is also really good at these road courses too, so basically kind of ruined any chance for him to come up front and get a win there.
Yeah, but I'm not, again, anytime John Hunter Nemechek gets into trouble, I'm not super worried about him anyway. So
No,
he'll come back. He's strong every week because I mean that car is expected to be strong every week and he can handle it.
Yeah, we'll just see. I mean, we've seen him with pressure down in the truck series before and him kind of choking it away. So hopefully he can stay strong this year and make a push because I'd really hate to keep calling him Nemechok. I would really hate that. But Ty Gibbs, he put on an absolute ass whooping here in the closing laps. Just absolutely dominated here. I mean, that's all I can say. This guy finally won an Xfinity race this year. It took him
about
like
time.
About
five,
time.
6 races or something. Yeah.
You expect to see that if he's in that 19 car, especially with how he raced last year, you expect to see him in all his Xfinity starts be basically Kyle Busch and go out and win every one of them. And he hasn't been able to pull it off until now, which again, is a little surprising. I know the next gen is worlds apart from the Xfinity, and he's obviously got to focus more on that. That makes the big bucks, but you still expect him to be able to perform. He's only a year removed from the series. Odd that this is the first one that he's done.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah, either way, that 19 car is in victory lane, and I guess we can shut up about Ty not winning down in the Xfinity series.
Again, another guy I'm not worried about. He'll go out there, he'll perform. If he crashes, he doesn't care. If he wins, he cares a little.
It's the Xfinity series for Ty now. He doesn't give a damn.
Right.
I mean, we've seen his emotions with how close he's been to getting wins or even getting wins at this point. I don't think he really cares. It's all focused on the Cup series now.
My question is about that 48 team, that Big Machine Racing. Do you think the problem with that team is the team itself, or is it the driver? I know they stayed out. They were one of the ones that stayed out on the wet tires to win that stage, but it killed the rest of the race. And that to me sounds like it's more of a team thing. He came back to finish 7th.
Yeah, I would say it's a team thing because we've seen over the years when Parker has made a couple runs in like the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. This guy is a strong driver. He's very, very good, especially on road courses too. So, and he was able to come back and get that top 10 finish. So, definitely a team thing. I mean, this is still fairly new team. They're only a couple years old, so still probably a little bit of growing pains. But we have seen promise out of this 48 crew. They almost won a couple races this year already.
It's just interesting to me that they know that they need to win a race. The time is running. The time is basically gone. They need this win, and they called the strategy to stay out to take stage points, and that was just odd.
Yeah.
Also, they made a comment on the broadcast that how it's wild that the crew chief didn't know the rules. Like, yeah, it's a situation you don't see all the time, but they said that he thought he needed to take the green with the wets. So the first time he could pit to get the slicks on was after they had gone green, when we saw guys pull off as they were taking the green, which again, that turns out to be a better move for the long run of the race. So that tells me more that it's the team. And then that Parker's probably outperforming his equipment, and it's still not quite enough.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd maybe give this team and driver one more year to see how they click together. And I don't know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But
this is also one of those teams where you see the driver switch out every year. Yeah. So I feel like if they keep him on next year, then that will be more helpful. You know, I always think that these one and done contracts are kind of silly if you want your team to grow.
Yeah, because the driver lets you know, like, what they did different this year compared to last year. And I feel like it just helps so much. And obviously those relationships grow too with the crew chief and just everyone in the garage. So it would just be silly for them to just get rid of Parker after 1 year. But who knows? It might open up bigger and better things for PK because we know that there's a couple good rides opening up too. But let's talk the Cup Series race for Indy. Daniel Suarez, man, oh man, he needed this. He got the pole and he led the field to green. Good for Daniel Suarez, finally showing some speed, especially late into this regular season.
Good speed out of the 99. And as we've seen from multiple teams this year, it's the pit crew that dropped the ball this time.
Yeah.
But more than anything, you just wanted to see how that one could have finished out, because I know I'm going to jump to the end. We're going to get there, but the finish was so intriguing between the 34 and the 9 to see if the 9 could get back up there. Could you imagine throwing the 99 in the mix? We could have had another look like that Watkins Glen race that I mentioned earlier with Ambrose, Keselowski, and Busch. They all would be, or like Coda last year when Ross got his first win. Like, you see all those guys trading spots, running over each other, trying to get that win, because that 99 car was so fast too. He moved Chase out of the way. He's like, get out of my way. I gotta go places. So he was coming, and unfortunately, it's a fluke, that hose getting stuck under the wheel. That doesn't happen almost ever. And it's like one more thing you didn't even think you have to look out for.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time for the jack being dropped in that hose. Man, that just sucks, because we've seen this happen with Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, now Daniel Suarez. It's just these guys have race-winning speed, and it just pit road problems just kill it. And I mean, that especially sucks for Suarez because he needs to get into the playoffs. A win would be so good for him, especially with how many spots are left.
But again, you're coming to a track that's quite similar with how it drives. And so you're hoping that 99 can take what they learned and apply it to Watkins Glen. It's all they can do. Daytona's a crapshoot. You got to go win Watkins Glen.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's go back to a little bit of the beginning of the race here. Michael McDowell, he took he took the lead away from Daniel Suarez on lap 6, and he won stage 1. And we know Michael McDowell's a good road course racer, but goddamn, man,
the fastest we've probably ever seen him race before. Holy shit!
Yeah, no, this is bigger than his Daytona 500. I know the victory-wise, it's not, because Daytona 500 is the biggest race in NASCAR, but just the way he just raced in this one, just kicked everyone's ass. I think that's way bigger than his Daytona 500 win from a fan perspective.
Well, and he's talking about how a win like this can help his race team, because, again, puts him in the playoffs. Now the worst he can finish in the drivers and the owners' points is 16th. And he's not going to finish 16th in the drivers owners. He's the best, even if he gets knocked out of the first round, the best he could finish. But again, his plan is, if he keeps top 10 in the field to death in these first 3 races of the playoffs, then you've got Talladega and the Roval, which, what are those two? That 34 car is damn good at super speedways and Rovals. Yep. So there's their 2 wins. So,
well, especially too if he stays in the playoffs,
Yeah, no, there's a potential.
One of those tracks, he moves into the
the round of 8. There's a potential that 34 car finishes 8th in the playoffs. And he was talking on Actions Detrimental because Denny Hamlin brought him on, because Denny Hamlin told everybody that Chase Elliott was going to beat the shit out of Michael McDowell. Yeah. And Michael McDowell was like, hey, I put my money where my mouth is. So, but he was talking, and Denny asked him, he said, what does FRM, or what does Joe Gibbs have that FRM doesn't, basically? And Michael McDowell was like, shit, I don't know. But like, one thing he was saying is, like, if we finish this high in the playoffs, we can get a Hawkeye system. And the Hawkeye system is a scanner for the car, so they can see if their car is eligible to like go race. Because right now they're borrowing the RFK one. So stuff like that, these tools that these smaller teams don't have, that all these big teams are essential to their speed. This win does so much for Front Row Motorsports. And if Michael McDowell can execute in these first 3 races, he goes to the round of 8. But he's got to work to stay in it for these first 3 races. And that's how important this win is to that 34 team. Like, it's so much deeper. This can help their team for years and years to come.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that surprised me that FRM didn't have, I mean, that kind of technology that Joe Gibbs Racing has. I mean, this is just going to make them probably one of the fastest Ford teams now. I mean, just look out, because with the speed that they've been showing all year, and they don't have the same technologies as these other top teams. Holy shit,
Yeah.
they're gonna take over. And Michael McDowell, if he does so great, the literally the future of FRM lies in his hands right now.
Well, and they stated that before this weekend when they re-signed him and Gilliland to contracts for next year. They're making investments in their drivers. They say these guys are going to take us up a notch. They're going to go from a C tier team to a B tier team. And the longer they stay with these guys, and it's time to put up for them. They show they can do it. They've got the speed. They've been getting faster on the intermediate ovals. And this is just so good for them all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see this for the smaller teams. Let's dive a little bit more back into the race. AJ Allmendinger getting spun by Ryan Blaney. Real uncharacteristic of Ryan Blaney, really, to take his anger out on these other drivers. So I don't really, I didn't really see what AJ did to kind of piss him off, but either way, Blaney, he needs to take a chill pill. He's been driving pretty aggressive past couple weeks.
He gave him a bump and run in the turn before. Like, it was that same area where Suarez moved Chase out of the way, and then they came around turn 13 where that pit entrance is, and Blaney just turned left right into him. Like, it was super out of character for Blaney. Very odd to see, and it just sucks for the Dinger because he was one of the fastest cars on the track just by lap times. But with no cautions, there's no way for him to take advantage of that, unfortunately.
Yep, this was a very, very clean race. It was insane. From the past couple years that we have seen the carnage at the Indianapolis road course, this was very tame, and I think it's all because of them moving that restart line.
Joey Logano still tried.
Yeah, Joey still could not hold on to that 22 car. If it was two restarts, he was causing
the initial
trouble.
Start, he ran Justin Haley off into the tire barrier.
The guy was always causing trouble.
No reason for that, especially that early. Like, that was a chicken shit move for Joey. It didn't make any sense. Nick's out there clapping because he likes that Justin Haley got.
Hell yeah!
But then on that ensuing restart for Joey to just send it in there, and I saw on Twitter people were pissed off about SVG taking out Ty Gibbs, and I was like, Joey Logano took out Ty Gibbs from 4 cars behind, because Joey Logano hit the 12, who hit the 91, who spun the 54. Like, I don't understand what he thinks he's doing in that turn. You'd think he would have learned from last year when he caused all that bullshit.
Or 2 years ago. He's literally the past 3 years at the Indianapolis road course have been freaking hell for that 22.
Yeah, Joey Logano is the #1 proponent of going back to the oval.
Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah, he started the movement. But we had Denny Hamlin winning stage 2, and then you were talking about it. We had a big battle for second. Daniel Suarez gave Chase Elliott a bump and run. We know that both of these guys are desperate to get into the playoffs right now, and that's what Daniel Suarez was doing. He knows that this is one of his competitors. If Chase Elliott wins, Daniel Suarez might not make it in the playoffs. So, I mean,
Michael McDowell won, and Daniel Suarez isn't going to make the playoffs. So it's one of the reasons that I think this race was so compelling was the players that were up at the front. Because again, if you have Denny Hamlin fighting William Byron and I don't know, Truex. Kyle Busch, Truex for the win, those top 4 cars. Yeah, this race is a sleeper. You're like, okay, these guys have already won. But the high drama of these 3 guys who are Well, I mean, Chase in his situation that we've talked like immensely about, who needs the win. And then McDowell and Suarez sitting on the cut line. You were glued to the TV just because you're like, man, this is going to have huge implications in the playoffs. And it was fun to watch him battle all day. Again, it's so unfortunate to see Suarez get taken out due to something not on the racetrack. He did everything absolutely right. And it was just so compelling. But again, I think one of the reasons it was so compelling, and I've seen other people make similar statements, is because of those three guys were the ones fighting it out, duking it out. Also, shout out to Denny Hamlin for winning stage 2. Had shit slow speed, but he basically just skipped an entire pit stop to do so. So they did something right with the fuel savings and whatnot. But it was kind of funny to watch.
Yeah, I guess they kind of figured like we're not winning this one, boys, so might as well just take a playoff point. So
yeah, go get that. The playoff point can be the difference. We've seen people miss out by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, worked out
going
for
round to round. So take that, put it in the bank. You may need it.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, I really would have liked to see how that battle would have gone if Suarez did not have that pit road incident. I really do think we would have seen a great battle for the finish with Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez. And who knows, maybe Chase Elliott might have been in the mix too. But either way.
I think Suarez honestly had the speed to put a few seconds on the 34, which is all the more infuriating for them. They were faster out there. And I'm not certain about that, but I'm pretty sure that if Suarez stayed in the race, he would have been pretty safely ahead of that 34, which would have been so impressive.
Either way, would have been an epic battle, but Michael McDowell just
it still was with the lap traffic and getting through there, and we know how prolific Chase Elliott is on these road courses. Michael McDowell was overshooting that turn 7 a few times. It wasn't set in stone. Chase was reeling him in, had it under a second by the end of the race.
Yeah, I really thought like maybe if he had a couple more laps, maybe he could have caught him, but you know what? They went the full distance and he couldn't do it.
That's what I say. We had 70 something laps after the caution of green flag racing. Don't tell me Chase didn't have enough time to track him down. Don't tell me that.
Had all the time in the world, but
it's
now I'm a little scared because
well, it's a different thing if there's a caution with 10 to go and Chase starts 10th and runs out of time to catch the 34 after the 34 starts to lead. But no, he had all the time in the world. So don't give me that he ran out of time.
Right.
He knew what he was chasing and just couldn't get it done.
But Tom, this worries me because Chase Elliott is starting to show some speed and urgency, and we're going to a top track for him next weekend.
This is
Patrick's got those crazy eyes going on right now, so I know it's going to be good.
Well, this is, as Mike McDowell finished this race, this thought went through my head, and I said, oh no, Bubba has to win Daytona to make the playoffs. He has to, because with the speed Chase showed this weekend, unless he has some crazy failure or crash at Watkins Glen, I can't see anybody else winning that race.
No.
Which would knock Bubba out of the playoffs, which means that he would have to win Daytona, and then suddenly the 4 and the 6, who have like 150 point cushions, one of them is out.
Yeah.
It's, again, another reason that's so intriguing. You got to tune in. You got to watch these races. The high drama that's coming from this ridiculous point system that we play. I guess it's doing its job because it's going to be dramatic how it finishes. Now, again, I'm hoping Daniel Suarez can win Watkins Glen, and then I'm hoping Bubba can win Daytona, but who knows? Bubba's got to do more than ride around in 15th this weekend. He's got to do more. I know he doesn't like the road courses, but again, the best place to be going to Daytona is 15th in points. And with this winner coming from below the cut line, all that changed for Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, he got 18th at the Indy Road Course, so usually kind of where he finishes at these things, not the best. So,
but he didn't do. He did what he set out to do.
yeah,
Again, they racked up all the points in these last couple ovals, and he was 56th to the good. And everybody's saying sitting 15th, 56 points up. That's a really good spot to be in. But these circumstances and all three of these guys showing speed at these tracks, who knows what can happen?
yeah,
And again, Bubba's going to feel the pressure.
yeah.
And
Now he's only
man,
28 points to the good after McDowell won.
I can't imagine how he'll handle it if he gets knocked out of the playoffs in these last two races. Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, very, very consistent year. Just, yep, at this point, got to get a win because these next two races are going to be insane.
Yeah, but he'll try like hell to lead that entire Daytona race.
Yeah.
That's where he's comfortable. He likes sitting in front of those lines. But again, that's 2 weeks out. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Going to be a crazy next couple weeks. Just to cap off this race, Ricky Stenhouse versus the international drivers. I guess he really did mean 1776. We are the champs with the eagle scream in the background when he took out Jensen Button and Kumi Kobayashi.
Did he get Rockefeller too?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't.
No.
He didn't.
But I think I heard out of his window. I think I heard, "Hey, it's me, America."
So Ricky Bobby shit. I love it.
Yeah. No, whatever. He's putting Tony the Tiger in a bad spot there.
Yeah.
Turning everybody around.
Oh man. And then your boy Kyle Busch flat spotted his tires late in this one.
No, he dropped a cylinder or something.
Okay, I thought he flat spotted him.
Well, he did, but he had dropped a cylinder a long time before that. But to have, I mean, again, he finished like fourth, and I forget how he did in the stages, but he was in the top 5 in both stages. And then for him to finish the race 36th was just the utter gut punch that took the wind out of my sails. I was flying high on that race. I mean, I knew he wasn't running around as fast anymore, but I didn't realize how far he had dropped. Like that was upsetting to see. And again, that's what you worry about with the move to RCR, is that those teams that team is not technically as savvy as Joe Gibbs was. But then again, round of 12 last year, Kyle lost 2 engines. So
yeah,
in 3 races, like you never see engine failures in this sport, especially now with the next gen. And he lost 2 engines in 3 races. Like, what the fuck was that? I'm still upset.
All I'm saying is from a Kevin Harvick fan, from a life Kevin Harvick fan, welcome to RCR, buddy.
Yeah. It's amazing that he won 3 this year already. So
yeah,
you gotta find the silver lining and hope he can get back up on the horse after he had such a good summer stretch. Taking a step back a little bit, but again, he likes Watkins Glen. He races well there. Just gotta hope the car hangs on.
Yeah, hopefully, because I really thought that, Tyler Reddick, he's a good road course racer, but I thought maybe that 8 team would maybe hold on to some of that road course prowess.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. It was the engine that gave up. They hung out. He was right up there in the top 5 most of the day.
Yeah, just unfortunate circumstances. It's just sucks.
We got to the race portion of race win bow repeat.
Yeah.
About it. We did race.
Yeah. No win, no bow.
No.
All right. And then Michael McDowell just straight up won this race, kicked everyone's ass. His second career NASCAR Cup Series win after his Daytona 500 victory from last year. Just amazing.
I agree with your sentiment that you say this is bigger than the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Just again, it shows that team isn't a fluky team. Yeah, that Daytona 500 was a little fluky, and as it got crazy at the end, and as anything goes on that last lap of the 500, but for him to come out here and win this race like he did was really a great show of force for FRM and for Ford.
And
3 in a row.
The past 3 years since the Indy Road Course has been introduced, all the winners have gotten their second career win. AJ Allmendinger, Tyler Reddick, and now Michael McDowell. So
So
If you're
who's
looking for your
next?
second career win, if we do,
Justin Haley next year in the Rick Ware racing car.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Corey LaJoy wins one of the super speedways and then comes and wins. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I honestly, I hope
Ty Gibbs would get his second career win next year at the road course if they run the road course. But no.
But I hope we see the oval. It's just classic. I mean,
I'm so curious to know what happens with these cars on the oval.
Yeah, and it's got to be awesome. Just the oval is just classic. If you go to the Brickyard, you got to run the oval.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's the best race in the world or the worst race in the world. It's just history. You're racing on history.
That track is over 100 years old, and there's over 100 years of racing history there, and that was not built on the road course. That was built on the oval, crossing the bricks, going counterclockwise. Like it's just the drivers know that the prestige comes with the oval. Denny Hamlin says that he would rather win a Brickyard 400 than a championship. Like that's how important that race is.
Yeah.
And it's a crown jewel, and it was the last crown jewel added because of the racing prestige. We can't just add another crown jewel because we took away the Brickyard. No, we need to bring back the Brickyard if we want a fourth crown jewel.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my own opinion, I don't think they should be kissing the bricks when they run the road course. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
My own opinion.
You win. Traditions.
Yeah.
That
it doesn't feel like the Brickyard, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Dale Jr. said today on his podcast that he gave his whole explanation why they should be racing the oval. And he said, he basically brought it down to, you do not blame the Indianapolis Motor Speedway oval for a bad race. You just don't. You got to blame the equipment, blame the tire, whatever you got to do. But you can't just give up on it because you had a bad race. You can't blame that track, especially that track. And I 100% agree.
Yeah, definitely. But guys, that was a crazy Indy weekend. You guys got anything else to add?
Shane Van Gisbergen. I know we like to chat about him. Again, he finished right about where we thought he would. He was the best of those international drivers on the road course. He finished one lap down at IRP, which again, 19th. We know not an easy race, not an easy track for your first oval.
I said top 20 would be a win for him.
Exactly. And his truck was clean by the end of the race, which was also important because he could have easily been swept up running with all those guys back there in 20th. But he completed as many laps as he could. He learned a ton. And I just think this was a solid weekend overall. Dale Jr. said that getting anything less than a top 5 was going to be a disappointment for him. But you think about it, a top 10 in the NASCAR Cup Series is by no means an easy feat. And he's got 2 in 2 starts. He's got more top 10s this season than the 41 car.
Yep. And Noah Gragson.
Yeah. Noah Gragson unfortunately can't defend that title anymore. Can't go out and take that one back. But again, SVG is coming to NASCAR. We know that. He's signed a contract with Trackhouse to run whatever he can next year. Who knows what we'll see him in. He's coming. And I don't think he's going to fluke his way around this place. I think he's going to be a competitor sooner or later.
Yeah. Adam Stern actually just tweeted a couple minutes ago from NBC Sports. And I think this is also Trackhouse. They said, we have to be very, very calculated and intelligent about how we build a program for Shane. If he wants to come do this full time, it doesn't make sense to just win the Chicago race, come run 10th at Indy, and then just go cup racing full time. So
yeah. He's got to learn. He's got a lot to learn, of course. Of course. Again, all these guys running out there have been driving on ovals basically. I guess aside from William Byron, I would think most of these guys have been oval racing since they were 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a lot to learn about stock car racing and how the mechanics of the oval, the physics of the ovals work. Again, I don't know if we have any non-race fans watching or listening, but it's not mash the loud pedal and turn left. It's definitely not. It's very difficult to run. It's very difficult to understand. The aero itself, just the aero aspect of racing in NASCAR these days is ridiculous and so hard to understand.
Yeah.
He's got his work cut out for him, but again, he is an experienced driver in racing series in general. He understands what it takes to take care of his cars, what it takes to run a race, finish a race, get what you can out of the car. So I think this is a good combination. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, but from what I've seen of him, he's up for it.
Yeah, he's ready to take the task at hand. Yeah, I think honestly, give him a couple more races before the season ends, and then maybe he'll be ready to go, because just 2 road courses and plus a truck series race on an oval, I feel like that's just not enough for him to be ready for full time. So I
No.
say get him.
But that's why they're doing this development deal.
Yeah, get him at like Kansas, or I don't know, somewhere else like Kansas or Las Vegas. Let's get this guy on a 1.5 miles somewhere where he really can just grind.
Let him do some tests, and NASCAR's got to lighten up the rules for a situation like this a little bit. But you got to let him take a Nice truck out and test on an oval somewhere over the off season. I'd say, I know this is crazy, throw him in a truck or an Xfinity car for the Daytona. Maybe don't have him jump in for the 500. That's a lot to understand and learn about.
Yeah.
And while I think as long as he can stay with the draft, that's one thing, but that might be a little scary. But again, he's got to learn. He better be spending his whole offseason on iRacing too, just to get an idea. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but maybe I just want to race against SVG. But yeah, no, you gotta get him in as early and as often as you can. And it might be a little too late. Maybe all these teams have plans for the rest of this season, but try to get him a deal for the first few weeks, get him in something each week just to see what he can do. And hopefully we see a lot more of that 91 car next year, just in general.
Yeah. Either way, you don't want to just throw him into the pool without knowing how to swim.
No,
this guy,
plus you got to get him a
he
charter.
Needs to warm up.
You got to get that 91 car charter, and you got to get him in a chartered race car, so he's not trying to qualify an open car each week.
Like Ryan Preece a couple years ago. Remember that?
And we and we know that charters, nobody's selling, and if they are selling, you have to offer them a ridiculous amount of money. They say it's worth $30 million because that's probably what it would take if you offered somebody who doesn't want to sell to get it. I'm investing in a NASCAR charter if I win the Mega Millions. That's for sure.
Oh, hell
I'm
yeah,
gonna get one. I'm gonna call up Justin Marks. We got to get a hold of him and be like, I just won $750 million. I want to buy part of Trackhouse, and I'm gonna bring a charter with me. Let's do it.
There you go.
But that's just a pipe dream. But no, you got to get this charter. You got to get him in a stable ride that's going to be around. So get him in that Spire 77 truck. Get him in the Spire 77. I think it's the 77 at Xfinity.
For the Xfinity? Yeah, it's also the 77.
Yeah, get him whatever you can. And if it's Chevy making this deal because he drives a Camaro in Australia, Chevy's got to just put him in anything, whether it's a shitty back marker or whether it's the Hendrick 17, for all we care. Chevy's got to make it happen if he wants to get this done. But again, he's still outshone wildly above all the other international drivers showing up there. I don't think Kamui got a good chance. He was taken out a couple times. But again, he was turning fast laps. The 42 car was turning fast laps. I guess Brody Kostecki hadn't turned a lap in a next gen car anywhere. He didn't get one of those extra tests. He hadn't turned a lap in a next gen car until practice. So and once he got his feet under him, he almost put it in the second round of qualifying before he crashed. So like, again, had he had his primary car, and had the whole race to learn, that could have been scary too.
Yeah. Who knows?
Mhm.
But yeah, I think SVG, I think we, like you said, just have this guy develop around all these different Chevy truck and Xfinity teams, and just don't throw him right into the water at the beginning of the year next year. This guy, he just needs a lot of practice. Just have him run, let's say like 25 races next year, and it can all just be like a combination.
That's the other thing. You
Truck
can't throw him
Xfinity
right.
Cup.
You can't throw him right in the Cup Series because he does 12 races, 12, 13 races a year with the supercars. To go to 36 week in and week out, long, hot
It's a
races.
huge jump.
That's the big change. That's going to be so difficult. And that's another physical aspect of the sport that most people don't understand. Sit in a car for 4 hours where it's 140 degrees. Come on. I hate waiting the 4 minutes for my car to cool down when I sit in it in the middle of summer, turn on the AC.
Yeah, right.
So sitting in that hot car for so long, get me out of there. So yeah, it's going to be a great storyline to follow next year, just to watch his development, see what he can do, see what he can pick up, and how quickly he can pick it up. Who knows? This may be a big waste of time and energy, but if it's something he wants to do, I'm here for it. It's exciting. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool to bring in new faces into NASCAR, especially when they're international superstars like this guy.
Oh yeah, and that's something that's also very unique about NASCAR. I mean, Kyle Larson, it had a hard enough time getting that Indy 500 ride. He couldn't go to Australia and sit in a supercar. Their rules don't let him. Kyle Larson couldn't go do a one-off race in F1. Their rules definitely don't let him.
Oh yeah.
So to have the top North American stock car motorsport have such flexibility to allow people like Kostecki and SVG and Kobayashi and Jenson Button to be able to come over here and just give it a shot. That's so cool. And it gets so many extra eyes on our sport when those guys run. And I think it's a great thing with our Cup Series model.
It just shows how diverse that NASCAR is getting. And it's so damn cool that, guys from Australia can run these cars because it's so similar.
Yeah.
So,
and like Kobayashi got out of the car, he didn't have a great finish, but he said he wants to come back.
Yeah, he had fun.
That's what we want. I mean, Jenson Button keeps coming back.
Yeah.
He made some interesting comments. He made some interesting comments after COTA, but he also understands what he's doing. And he also made a comment that said, hell no, I'm never going to get in the Daytona car. Those guys are insane for doing such a, so like, there is respect amongst these international drivers for this series, way more than fans of other series would ever understand about the NASCAR Cup Series. And I think bringing all these guys in here and all of them wanting to show up says a lot about the Cup Series in general on an international level.
Yep, pretty damn cool, and it's just growing the sport little by little. It's what we needed. But guys, I think that'll about wrap it up for our show here. Patrick, thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And if you haven't yet, guys, make sure to check out Patrick's podcast, Koto's Mojo. Talk all sports, and we're going to be talking more NFL next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Well, if you haven't yet, make sure to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. So
leave a comment on our video. Tell us what you think about everything too. Let's engage a little bit.
Yeah, let's engage. Thank you, Tom. We need to engage with more of our fans. So leave a comment, and you can also check us out on Twitter and Instagram. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
We'll see you guys next time.